prepared to embark on some of the most amazing political speaking from one Stephen Miller, I remind you in advance, make sure that you are subscribed, that you have notifications turned on, and that you have downloaded the app for immediate notifications when your favorite creators go live on Rumble. And now, behold, Stephen Miller.
Last night, Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech after losing the election. She attacked Trump personally, attacked the policies. Any comment from the White House on that?
Well, I think it was a great reminder to the American people of just how blessed we all are that the leader sitting in the Oval Office today is President Donald Trump and not President Kamala Harris. It was a helpful reminder of just what a travesty and a tragedy that would have been. It would have been the end of America. And it gives me a chance to bring this whole thing home. If we continued on this road of radical regulation, choking off American energy, sending our supply chains to foreign countries, taxing our economy to death, pushing this cancerous woke ideology on our children, ending merit, ending scientific innovation, ending public safety, allowing, everyone goes to the stores these days, everything's locked up, criminals roam free, law-abiding citizens under the previous administration were punished while gangbangers were given red carpet treatment. Democrats, of course, are still giving gangbangers red carpet treatment. And then the border invasion. If those policies had continued, it would have been the end of the American Republic. And the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology for joining Joe Biden. And remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country. And we're never going to stop talking about this because what they did to this country is unforgivable. It is an eternal stain on the Democrat Party.
And Dougie's here too.
All right, people, I had to blow your ears out at the end of that with Kamala Harris because for those of you who don't know, she did a pay-per-view event last night. I didn't know it was pay-per-view because when I had the luxury of listening to 17 minutes of cackling Kamala talk about everything from Dougie's here. It's like her entire face is transformed even worse than it was when she did her cackling cackle during the election. I listened to 17 minutes of the most insanely idiotic diatribe you can possibly imagine. I did it so that you don't have to. Now, there are people on the internet positing that she was intoxicated, inebriated, medicated. I don't know for certain, but what I can tell you is that it was the most idiotic, unhinged lunacy. There was one statement that she said that I actually agreed with, if you can believe this. So she gave a 17-minute talk, pay-per-view, you paid $25 to listen to cackling Kamala. And for those of you who don't know what my grandmother always used to tell me growing up, a fool and his money are easily parted. There was one statement that Kamala made during her idiotic Billy Madison-esque, potentially medicated speech, and I'll play it for you. And you'll understand why it is that I agree with it. And now, some people in the chat are going to know exactly where this is going beforehand, either A, because you're a part of vivabarneslaw.locals.com, or B, because you follow me on Twitter, or C, you've been around the channel for long enough to know exactly where this is going. Let's listen, shall we?
By the way, an agenda that is not lowering costs, not making life more affordable.
I got to stop and I got to start again and I got to pause. I can't. No, I'll play. I'm playing it.
By the way, an agenda that is not lowering costs, not making life more affordable, and not what they promised. It's an agenda, a narrow, self-serving vision of America, where they punish truth tellers, favor loyalists, cash in on their power, and leave everyone to fend for themselves.
Has there ever been a more glorious, a more perfect, quintessential example of confession through projection than what we just saw right there? What you saw is what the Democrats do best. They hurl out accusations and statements with absolutely zero support, or evidence to back them up. Then they accuse their enemies of doing exactly what they are doing. What was the first half of this? A total load of crap. Unsubstantiated, unevidenced crap. Now, of course, she's on a podium, so she's not going to have to substantiate her claims. She can just make vague statements, and then you hear the occasional, yeah, sing it, sister, testify.
By the way, an agenda that is not lowering costs.
Oh, I think that's factually incorrect. I think we could probably go look at gas prices, probably go look at egg prices, probably go look at general cost of living, in as much as you can bring down 4 years of devastation in 100 days. Oh, but when it went up before, it was Putin inflation. Now that it's coming down, it was Biden saving the economy, and make it up. By the way, you want to go to Viva Barnes Law and listen to Bourbon with Barnes yesterday. I might post that clip as a standalone clip. His assessment of Trump's first 100 days, impeccable. Not lowering costs, false. I know.
Not making life more affordable.
Unsubstantiated drivel. And she talks with the back of her nose. Not.
And not what they promised.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's exactly what Trump promised, madam. Locking up judges, pardoning Jan 6ers, shutting the border down overnight. It's not all of what he promised, but my goodness, you ask a Trump supporter, you ask a conservative who voted for this, it's exactly what they promised. It's the second part that is glorious.
It's an agenda, a narrow, self-serving vision of America.
Self-serving vision of America. Who's going to pick our vegetables in the fields if we don't import thousands, tens of thousands, millions of illegal immigrants? Who's going to pick those vegetables? Literally what they said. We done picking cotton is what Jasmine Crockett said. Who's going to wash your toilets, Mr. Trump, is what the Osborne girls said. They literally say it out loud. A narrow vision of America. Let in illegals so that we can exploit them for human slave labor, modern human slavery. Because we done picking cotton, says Jasmine Crockett. We got to import another class of illegal immigrants to exploit for these purposes.
Where they punish truth tellers.
Where they punish truth tellers. How many examples of this do we need? Doctors getting stripped of their licenses? Protesters getting locked up forever? Tina Peters locked up in a Colorado gulag for 9 years for exposing election fraud in that state? Dexter Taylor locked up in New York for a decade for assembling his own firearm at home? Can you believe it? But the last one is the best.
Favor loyalists, cash in on their power, and leave everyone to fend for themselves.
Favor their loyalists, you know, kind of like the way that Biden on his way out pardoned Fauci, pardoned the loyalists on that bogus Jan 6 committee. This is what Kamala Harris has to say. You can judge someone by their accusations of others. Mark Twain said you can judge others by the words they habitually use to describe others. That's true unless you're dealing with conservative commentary that habitually comments on the lying, scumbag, tyrant, treacherous scoundrels that are the liberals in Canada and the Democrats in the state. You can judge Kamala by her accusations of others. Everything that she just described is exactly what her 4 years of terror were on America. I love Stephen Miller, though. He comes and he says, the only thing anyone wants to hear out of her. Hold on, let me bring up Sortor had it starting at the right spot here. So I want to. The only thing
Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology for joining Joe Biden. And remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country.
I love the way Stephen Miller talks. He talks like he doesn't care about what you think of what he has to say. But
the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris.
Pause it. Anybody else get the immediate reference or immediately think of that scene from The Other Guys when he's like, hey, if I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Hey, you shut your face. If we want to hear you talk, I will shove my arm up your ass and work your mouth like a puppet. You hear me? Cash bar. Yeah.
Peace out, bitches.
Yeah, by the way, The Other Guys is one of the greatest comedies of all time. It never gets old. Yeah, the only thing anybody wants to hear from Kamala Harris right now is an apology. Donald Trump, in his first 100 days, has done more than any president in his first 100 days, and that consists of undoing 4 years of devastation of the criminal Biden administration. Woo, people! It's going to get so much better, by the way, for today's show. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some Canadian stuff, but it's going to overlap with some American stuff, and I was sort of torn on which intro to do. Kamala Harris or Donald Trump announcing to the world, congrats, liberal Canadians, you just got played by the globalist, 3-passport-carrying, WEF, Davos-speaking, Bilderberg whore. That is Mark J. Carney. We'll get there. Before we get there, everybody, welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. If you're watching on... Guys, I'm live. Get out of here. Sorry. No, absolutely not. Out. I'm live now. You cannot go near the pool when there's no adults. What the heck was I just saying? Kids, they distract you. They got no respect. I don't have an on-air sign outside the door yet. If you're new and you're not watching on vivabarneslaw.locals.com, don't forget, subscribe, turn on notifications, and download the Rumble app because you'll get notifications immediately when people go live. You can subscribe to your favorite creators and you'll get notifications immediately. That is not the sponsor of today's show. We got two, but we're going to start with the one that is Rumble Premium, people, because if you're new to Rumble, you should know that free speech is under attack and Rumble refuses to back down. Rumble has always believed in empowering voices no matter how unpopular. They now hosted that press conference this morning from the White House, and they had more viewers on the White House's website live streaming it from Rumble than they did on CommuTube. When major advertisers conspired to pull their dollars from Rumble, even so-called American brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their backs, claiming that Rumble had a right-wing culture. We're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. To strengthen that mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. You'll find exclusive content from creators like Russell Brand, Timcast, Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription. It's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium if you can. Limited time, you get $10 off an annual plan. It's $10 a month using code VIVA10. Go to rumble.com/premium/VIVA10. Claim your discount today. Together, we can. We will, and we must turn the tide, make free speech popular, and above all else, make free speech free. What was I going to say? We were going to start off with Kamala Harris. I was going to start off with the Canadian stuff, but this is like the overlapping Canadian-American stuff. Okay, sorry, I'll just have to show you because in our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community, we have the best memes, we have the best meme makers, and there is a meme which feel free to steal if you're in our community. First of all, I love the fact that retarded is back. It's here to stay. I would say privately, it's never left our vernacular. I would also like to say I take partial responsibility for bringing it back. You go look through my Twitter timeline, and you will find that I was pushing back to normalcy the term retarded in the sense that it had always been used, making the very logical argument, which doesn't always work on capital L libs and capital D Dems, that if you are offended by the term retarded because you think it's insulting to people who are mentally challenged, you should be equally as offended by the term imbecile, moron, idiot. What are some of the other ones that have actual clinical definitions on par with retarded? An idiot, I think, is someone that you look it up, like idiots, an IQ below 80. What was the other one? Moron, imbecile. These are all clinical terms. If you think it's more polite to call someone an imbecile than a retard, well, I would suggest you are a pretentious Brit, or just double standards to justify your own virtue, moral hierarchy. Kamala Harris, retarded, and you look at AOC and you go full retard. That's from our community. It's not mine. Don't get mad at me for having read a meme. Reading a meme is not an endorsement of the meme, even if I wholeheartedly endorse that meme. All right, I was going to say we were going to start with the Trump stuff because it's amazing. For those of you who don't know, you must be the first day on the channel because I've been starting every show off with Canadian stuff. And I was going to do it today, but I said today we're going to start off with some American stuff. We had elections on Monday. Canada has gone full commie. Canada, in all of its progressive wisdom, has literally elected the globalist banker. They elected a globalist banker who has been at the helm of the sinking ship that is Canada for at least the last 5 of the 10 years of Trudeau's Liberal government. It's a devastating election for anybody who wants to see a country survive. And it's devastating now that you are all going to appreciate you left-wing liberal idiots up in Canada. And by the way, just saying, I talk to liberals up in Canada. I've got liberals in my immediate friends and or family circle. Much more in my friend circle than in my family circle. But I put and or so that you don't know which. I know liberals, people I've known my entire life. They're idiots when it comes to politics. I was having a discussion with someone yesterday, and they were lamenting how bad the situation is. And I said, well, did you vote liberal? And they hemmed and hawed. I was like, yeah. I was like, well, what the hell? Well, it wouldn't have made a difference anyhow. I'm in a riding that goes, well, then if it wouldn't have made a difference, why the hell did you do it? And if everybody says it wouldn't have made a difference and does it anyhow, that's how it makes a difference. But the branding, the propaganda, the brainwashing of Canadians into thinking that if you vote liberal, it means you are liberal. That if you vote liberal, it means you're good. That if you vote liberal, it means you're tolerant. You know, because you tolerate genital mutilation on children. You tolerate perversion on children. You tolerate discussing pronouns with other people's children. Yeah, you're very tolerant, all right. Tolerant until someone disagrees with you. Then you turn into that meme triggered chick on the internet. They have been brainwashed into voting for Mark J. Carney, probably because they are so politically stupid that they don't know that Mark J. Carney is not a new face to politics. He's been involved in the Trudeau cabinet for the last 5 years. He's on the WEF web. You all know all of this. I'm not going to go into any greater detail. They've been duped, propagandized into voting for their own destruction. And I'll get to my thoughts on that in a second. Remember, this entire election was elbows up, Trump bad. And, Carney was going to stand up to Trump. Carney, after Trudeau comes out and says Canada has no core identity, it's a post-national state. After Trudeau and the Liberal government came out and demonized the Canadian flag as a symbol of far-right extremism when it was being flown with pride, peace, love, and joy during the Ottawa protest, then they come out and say, elbows up, bitches, we're Canadian. We love being Canadian. Float that Canadian flag. Talk about Canadian independence now. Talk about Canadian nationality. Now, all of a sudden, being a nationalist is not a problem for liberals. So they got brainwashed. They got hoodwinked. And if you had any lingering doubts, oh, my goodness. I'm not American, but Trump is my president. Literally because I have no choice, and spiritually because I like him. This is a man who doesn't not fulfill his campaign promises. Remember in 2016, CNN ran an article that said, he's fulfilling too many of his promises. This is a man who has been demonized more than anybody on earth. I should rephrase that. Who has been wrongly demonized more than anyone on earth. I think demonized implies wrongly. One would say that Hitler is the most demonized person on earth, and they'd be right to say that because it's not wrongly demonizing a mass murderer. Stalin has not been sufficiently demonized on earth. Neither has Mao. Neither has Mussolini. There are some murderous tyrants that have not been sufficiently demonized. Hitler has righteously been demonized. Trump has been wrongly demonized more than anybody on earth, and I dare anybody to challenge that. Maybe a close second would be Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson. Those are the only ones that come off. And I'm sure there's better examples than that. Bottom line, you love him, and if you don't love him, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's hear what he has to say about his recent discussion with Mark J. Carney, 3 passport-carrying globalist WEF Davos Bilderberg whore.
President Canada against not only against the Conservatives but also against you. Yesterday, yesterday he spoke about American betrayal. Are you interested in rebuilding relations with Canada, and if so, how?
American betrayal. How dare you make us tighten up our borders? How dare you tell us to shut down the fentanyl super labs in our... Who the hell do you think you are, Mr. Trump? Elbows up. How dare you impose tariffs on us? By the way, 200, 300% tariffs we impose on chicken, poultry, milk, meat. How dare you? It's a betrayal for you to treat us like equals. We've gotten comfortable sucking at the American teat. You want to rebuild those relationships? Oh, what does Trump have to say about this? Spoiler. You got duped, Canadians.
No, well, I think we're going to have a great relationship. He called me up yesterday. He said, "Let's make a deal." He was running for office. They both hated Trump, and it was the one that hated Trump, I think, the least that won. I actually think the conservative hated me much more than the so-called liberal. He's a pretty liberal guy. But no, I spoke to him yesterday. He couldn't have been nicer, and I congratulated him. You know, it was a very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country. It's a pretty tight race, but he's a very nice gentleman, and he's going to come to the White House very shortly.
I love it. He called me. He said, let's make a deal. Some people out there are going to say he's lying. He's lying like he lied about his conversation with President Xi. Of course, thus far, Carney hasn't come out and said, I didn't call him. Carney hasn't come out and said, unless I've made a mistake, chat, you'll let me know. Carney hasn't come out and said this is a big, filthy lie. There's too much to break down in here because if you take Trump at his word, I would say that Trump is wrong. I do not believe that Pierre Poilievre hated Trump more than Carney. I believe, like liberals do, they hide their seething hatred better than conservatives. I would also suggest that they have more seething hatred in general than conservatives. So I don't believe that Pierre Poilievre actually hated Trump more than Carney. I believe Carney loathes Trump. I believe Carney loathes Trump because Trump is everything that Carney loathes. Anti-globalist, populist. Carney is an anti-populist globalist. The liberals are the most insidious at covering up their deep, deep hatred. It comes out, under certain occasions. You dare say, don't talk to my kid about 2S LGBTQIA+, and they turn into quite hateful people. I believe that Pierre Poilievre pretended to hate Trump because he thought it would win him the election. How did that work out, Pierre? We're going to get back to that element of this a little later on. So I don't believe that Pierre actually hated Trump more than Carney. I believe that Carney hates Trump because Trump is everything that Carney hates, opposes, and will fight against. So there's that element. Did Carney actually call him up, is the question.
Rebuilding relations with Canada, and if so, how?
No, well, I think we're going to have a great relationship. He called me up yesterday. He said, let's make a deal.
Some people are going to say it never happened, and now Trump is trying to turn Canada against Carney. And by the way, I haven't looked to see if it's actually happening. I guarantee you this narrative is already being played out by lefty, Carney, brainwashed, propagandized Canadian liberals on the internet. They're saying he's a liar. He's trying to get us to hate Carney by pretending that Carney was nice to him and that he likes Carney now. That's how devious this scumbag is. He might be doing it, by the way. Come out now and tell Canadians, yeah, Carney actually, he likes me. We get along very well. Congratulations, people. You just elected the guy that I'm going to be more readily able to exploit for American benefit than for Canadian benefit.
Yeah, he was running for office. They both hated Trump. And it was the one that hated Trump, I think, the least that won. I actually think the conservative hated me much more than the so-called liberal. He's a pretty liberal guy. But no, I spoke to him yesterday. He couldn't have been nicer, and I congratulated him.
This part right here.
It was a very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country.
It's almost even. It makes it very complicated for the country. You can think whatever you want about Donald Trump. One thing that is undeniable, despite what you idiot Trump derangement syndrome haters think, he is not stupid. He doesn't say anything for no good reason. And when he says it's a very split, what was the exact words right here? Very mixed signal.
Very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country. It's a pretty tight race, but he's a very nice gentleman.
It's pretty even for the country, which makes it a very tight race. There were some people out there on the right, conservatives, suggesting that the reason why Trump was supporting Carney at any point, pretending to whatever, was because he wants to facilitate and make things go faster, accelerate the destruction and the breakup of Canada. And by supporting a strong liberal win, which it looks like we're going to have right now, I don't care any of the numbers you give me about the Conservatives, Elizabeth May from the Green Party has announced that she's joining Carney's cabinet. I think they're going to pick up, if they don't have crossovers from the NDP, at the very least an informal coalition. You're going to end up with a liberal majority. Why is Trump highlighting the divide in Canada? Because he wants a part of Canada. Or at the very least, he wants the resources from a part of Canada. And he's going to get those resources one way or the other. In terms of opening up the markets to the US from Canada for the benefit of Alberta. Because what he's doing by highlighting the divide is going to force Carney's hand one way or the other. Either Carney opens up Canada's natural resources for easy cross-border trade, or he doesn't. If he does, to the benefit of Alberta. If he doesn't, Alberta is going to move to secede. And so by highlighting the division, the geographic division of Canada right now, it's reminding everybody and playing on the fact that Alberta wants out. And if Carney doesn't satisfy Alberta's demands that Danielle Smith put out there, the Premier of Alberta, Alberta will find a way to get out. I talked about it yesterday. Facilitating and lowering the requirements on citizen petitions for referenda questions, if I pluralize it properly, he's going to get that. So Carney is either going to open it up for the benefit of Alberta, and oddly enough, for the benefit of the rest of Canada, because those resource dollars get equalized and redistributed throughout the have-not provinces, or they're not, and Alberta will secede from Canada and come to its own trade agreements with the US, or come to its own trade agreements with the US, notwithstanding an absence of secession, and just saying, F you, federal government. We are an autonomous province, and we will exploit our own natural resources the way we deem fit. It's actually phenomenally fascinating. Now, what the hell was I just about to say? Oh, yes, the question about the seceding from Canada. Let's go with Alberta. It's about time. Well, as I mentioned yesterday, and there's been some breaking news on this, Alberta has not been threatening to secede. Do I need to play the clip again? It might be worth playing again. I'll apologize if you've seen it, because it's important just to get the context on this. Let me bring it up. Danielle Smith did something yesterday which I think is political genius. Here. It's a quick clip. I'll stop it when it's no longer necessary to play it.
When we were talking about looking at the thresholds for both recall and citizen initiative, one of the reasons why we were discussing about changing it is that you want a bar that's high, but you don't want a bar that's impossible to achieve. And we saw with some of the recall initiatives that took place at the municipal level, the bar was impossible to achieve. So we wanted to try to create something that was a little bit more reasonable. And the fact that we haven't seen any citizen-initiated referendum, that also suggested to us that people just thought it was pointless to
Citizen initiative referendum. That means secede. Later on, when she gets asked the question, look, the reporter says, look, I don't really think you clarified your position on secession. What is your position on Alberta seceding? And she gets to say, plausibly and probably sincerely, I don't support it, but if enough citizens do, I represent them, not vice versa. I represent them, and I don't dictate to them. And if a citizen petition for referendum comes up and passes the thresholds that we are lowering, well, then I have to entertain the idea, even if I don't support it myself, because I believe that we should be part of a federation. But if a province wants out, a province has the autonomy to get out. That was the essence of what she's saying. It's political genius because it allows her to address the question without her being the initiator of it. And everybody can call her every name under the sun, and she'll get to say, nonetheless, it's democracy, bitches. If you don't like it, leave. Incidentally, if you don't like it, leave. What might also happen out of Canada is, above and beyond natural resource questions, you'll have the exodus of money, you'll have the exodus of brain power, and Donald Trump can say, everyone who loves the Constitution and freedom, come, we'll give you expedited immigration process to America. That's how you get the receiving end of brain drain. That's how you become on the receiving end of the financial drain. And everyone with money and brains who can leave America and who wants to be part of true freedom will get the hell out, and to the victor in Canada go the spoils. Congratulations, Liberals. You'll end up like Venezuela in less than 10 years. Danielle Smith does that. And some parties in Canada don't like it. Now, this is enraging. I'm not thoroughly familiar, but I'm probably more familiar with specific problems in Canada's Indigenous community than most people. You had Indigenous representatives, Native Americans, Canadian First Nations, come out and say, you can't separate from Canada, people, because we've got treaty rights on native lands. And you can't secede if you don't have our permission. So, Danielle Smith, we formally tell you, even though we're not even acting formally on behalf of all First Nations or this particular First Nations, this is a letter coming from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. And it says, Dear Premier Smith, cease and desist separation threats. This is how you realize, by the way, this could have been written by anybody, so this is not a group-specific criticism. It's actually just, when people are idiots and they don't know how to draft legal letters, or they think you can just draft any legal letter and tell people to stop talking. Cease and desist separation threats. I mean, this is like Ally McBeal is representing the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, although I suspect they don't have adequate representation and they think this stupidity carries any weight. But let's read this. You are attempting to manufacture a national unity crisis by enabling a referendum on separatism and a fanatical cell of individuals at the exact moment when Canadians need to unite against Donald Trump's America. I'm not using the word Indian in any derogatory sense here, and I don't care if it's not the politically correct term. It's still in the Indian Act of Canada. These are Canada's First Nations, Native Americans, Indians, saying, from the comfort of their corrupt towers reigning over their respective failed reservations, this is the moment Canadians need to unite against Donald Trump's America. Let that linger in your heads while I read the rest of this before I show you my response. The province of Alberta is on treaty lands. Please be advised that your irresponsible statements and actions are in breach of treaties number 6, 7, and 8. We demand that you immediately stand down from this conduct. Our treaties are sacred covenants and are to last forever. Alberta did not exist when our ancestors agreed to share the land with the Crown. The province has no authority to supersede or interfere with our treaties, even indirectly by passing the buck to a, quote, citizen, end quote, referendum. If you or any Canadians are not happy living on treaty lands, they are free to apply for citizenship elsewhere. Sincerely. I don't know if any letter like this floated around when Quebec had their referendum in 78 and 95. We need to unite. Canadians need to unite against Donald Trump's America. Do you know what I suspect? Some liberal activist wrote this for Chief Sheldon Sunshine, Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, and Chief Billy Joe Tukaro, Mikisew Cree Free Nation. First Nation, sorry. We need to unite against Donald Trump's America. Before I get into it, does everybody know how many water boil advisories are still in effect in Canada as relates to First Nations land? Let me see if I can. I think it was how many water boil advisories are there on native land in Canada? Last I checked, it was I believe it was over 100. As of November 7, 2024, there are 31 long-term drinking water advisories in effect across 29 First Nation communities in Canada. Now it's time we got to unite against Donald Trump's America. Let me bring up my response here, because it's, if you don't, I mean, I think everybody does know this, but if you don't, you're going to find it out right now. Do you know what the state of natives are in Canada in terms of lifespan, lifestyle, social issues? You probably can guess, because I think it's roughly the same in America. It's just what happens when you're governed by corrupt tyrants who don't give you land rights, who don't respect the treaties that they've ever signed with your nations, who maybe arguably want to live a life that is incompatible with modern society. We need to unite against Donald Trump's America from the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. Holy hell, the brainwashing and propaganda is unreal. This is factually correct. You can go look it up yourselves. Canadian natives, First Nations, overrepresented in terms of homelessness, drug addiction and alcohol, murder, rape, incest. 26 First Nations don't have clean drinking water. Trump is not the cause of their collective social problems, but at least they've got the boogeyman to distract from their current social problems. A lot easier to hate Trump than solve their own complex social problems. It's so freaking pathetic. It enrages me. You go anywhere in Canada and if you go to the reserves, the disappeared women from the reserves is so terrible, they literally call it a genocide, and they get it recognized as a genocide. Even though it's being perpetrated by and large by Native men, the argument is that white Europeans have beat down the Native population into a point where they commit disproportionate acts of violence, rape, kidnapping, and murder against their own, and it's white Europeans' fault. This is reality in Canada. They got no way to solve their own problems, but now they've got the biggest boogeyman on earth to blame all of their problems on. I was on with Richard Surrett the other day, and I posted the highlight yesterday, and I'll play it. Maybe people are going to think it's pompous to play my own words, but it's easier than just repeating them. They can't solve their own problems, and it's sort of an element of Stockholm syndrome, Parkinson's law. They can't solve their own problems. They know they can't. They're in a state of deep despair. So the only thing they can find to do is blame it on something else and make that potential something else even worse than their own current living conditions.
What is the pathology to explain why Canadians, or at least those who voted Liberals, seem to embrace their own chains?
It is, I'm thoroughly convinced it's an iteration of Stockholm syndrome, and it's also an iteration of, sort of a concept of it's too complicated to fix the problem that they live in. They don't see any practical solution to their own misery, and so the only way they can rationalize it is by minimizing it against a boogeyman of an even greater misery, that being Donald Trump. Yeah, sure, we pay a lot of taxes. Sure, our healthcare system, they call it a right. Carney, healthcare is a right. Death care is a right in Canada. Healthcare doesn't exist. And so they say, well, it could be worse. At least, we're not going bankrupt to pay a doctor. No, you're just dying in the waiting rooms. You're just dying waiting for a doctor. So it could be worse in this eternal boogeyman in their mind. And the Liberals, to their credit, played that boogeyman of an evil that's even greater than their current suffering perfectly, to the point where they have now rationalized their current suffering because it could be worse because Trump, orange man bad.
You are on mute, sir.
I muted it so that you wouldn't hear me sneeze because I'm coming down with a cold because of the filthy, disgusting germ bag of children that I have. I could listen. That man speaks the truth, and you should subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell and subscribe. People, that's what's going on in Canada. Trump is going to not only get what he wants. Let me rephrase this. Trump is going to get what he wants, because what he wants is what America needs. And the irony is, what he wants is what America needs, is what Canada needs, but Canadians are too filled with their own irrational hate for Donald Trump to even understand it. Canadians need energy independence. Canadians need a clean earth to live in. And, one of Pierre Poilievre's good points that he didn't make anywhere near enough during the election campaign is that if Canadians and Canada produced their own energy, clean, ethical energy, and supplied it to India, and India had a commensurate reduction in their own production or burning of fossil fuels, Canada, what it would produce and sell to India, would reduce global emissions by more than what Canada produces in the first place. So I'm no mathematician, but I can do basic math. You could eliminate all production, CO2 emissions from Canada, and it will be less effective than allowing Canada to exploit ethical, cleaner energy and ship it to India so that they don't have to dig it out of the earth and burn it in unethical ways. Canada operating at full tilt on energy production would reduce global emissions more than Canada shutting off the spigots entirely and going dark like North Korea. So what Canada needs? Energy independence. What Canada needs? Control of the Northern Corridor. What Canada needs is independence and not being tied to adversarial nations like India, like China, and like potentially India, because countries don't remain friendly forever. And if you're reliant on foreign nations for critical infrastructure, critical needs, critical resources, you have a national security threat. What Trump wants for himself is what is best for America and what is ironically best for Canada as well. Hold on one second. I don't want anyone hearing me sniffle, but my doctor said you are better off sniffling in your runny nose than blowing it out, because when you blow it out, you can accidentally blow too hard, get mucus in your ears, and then get an ear infection. And the TMI of the day, I am prone to chronic ear infections and sinus infections, which some tie to a deviated septum, which might also explain my snoring. And that's what's going on there. Now, what the heck was I about to do? I was about to segue into the second sponsor of today's show, but I wanted to remind you to subscribe and turn on notifications before I do that. If you're watching on Hulu or whatever the hell televisions, I don't know how you do it. Go touch the television. Don't touch the television. It leaves fingerprints forever. Coffee, people. Everybody loves coffee. Where's my cup? I don't have it here. 1775 Coffee. Partnered with Rumble. If you respect and love free speech, you work with the companies that value you as a customer and value free speech as a principle. Are you tired of starting your day with coffee brewed by people who think the Bill of Rights is a hate crime? 1775 Coffee is different. It's not made in a corporate lab by people with pronouns in their LinkedIn bios. It's made by actual humans who believe in things like free speech, personal responsibility, and not putting mold in your morning. Their Rejuvenate coffee is infused using CAAKG, a real compound backed by actual science that helps fight aging at the cellular level. Translation, in addition to having the most delicious cup of coffee in the morning, you might actually be making yourself younger genetically, making yourself healthier. You want focus? They got mushroom coffee that gives you the mentality of a Zen monk, or at least enough to survive 10 minutes on Twitter. If you're going to fuel your day, fuel it with something that isn't made by the companies who hate you, by the companies that have crappy coffee. 1775, mold-free, toxin-free, roasted weekly in Miami, which is basically the capital of freedom at this point. And they got good coffee in Miami. Go to 1775coffee.com, promo code Viva, 15% off. Support a company that loves you as a customer, because freedom tastes better with caffeine. I like that logo. Oh, Lordy. Viva, you are right. Hold on one second. Someone said, Viva, you are right. And I love sentences that start like that. Viva, you are right. Most people don't know how. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't say Viva there. You are right. Most people. Okay, that might not have been. That might have been totally unrelated, but I take it as a compliment that whatever I said was right. And you know what else I forgot to do thus far? Bring up some chats here. Common in a common Finnish adjective. Oh, Kamala is a common Finnish adjective meaning terrible, horrible, or awful. And then we got Cultivated Mind, who I think Cultivated Mind, you do make good dog. I'll show you the dog treats that we got there. Great. Is the propaganda network more effective, or are Canadians just more susceptible to it? This is a good question. There would be no good reason why any group of individuals, by the traits of being humans, would be more susceptible to propaganda than any other. Some people might say, well, if you have a, I don't know, if you're lower IQ, maybe you're more susceptible to propaganda. At least empirically, I don't believe that in any event. Not that I even know how you measure people's IQ. There would be no good genetic reason for which Canadians would be more susceptible to propaganda than Americans. There could then only be cultural reasons. Or there could be social reasons, which there are. I was having this discussion, I forget with whom. The propaganda industrial complex in Canada is cradle to grave, literally. And it was with my wife, I'm sorry. It was after we had the discussion, like, I was just on the phone with someone who was complaining about how bad the Liberals are while simultaneously admitting that they voted for them. And I was like, and they're like, yeah, because they just think it's good to vote Liberal. They think this time around it will be better than the last time. It's cradle to grave propaganda in Canada. And you don't really have the voices of the Jordan Petersons who leave. If you didn't know this, by the way, if you're watching in Canada now, go look at Patrick Bet-David's Instagram feed. In fact, I want everybody to do this in real time because they did it during the show the other day. And, sorry, I have to sniffle. They did it during the show. In the chat, tell me, is Patrick Bet-David, Value Team, whatever it is it blocked in Canada from your Instagram? Because I know that I saw someone in real time say, it's blocked, this is what I get. Sorry, this isn't available in your country. You got 40 million people, at least 4 million of which are new arrivals who are going to be forever indebted to the government that brought them in, the Liberals. You've got 25% of the population that is directly or indirectly employed by the federal government. And so they're going to be loyal to the government. You've got the other 80% of the population who are working their daily lives, who rely on whatever media they have at their fingertips. CBC, Radio-Canada, CTV News, Global News, Breakfast TV when it still existed, National Post, Toronto Sun, Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail, which they describe as like centrist. You are dealing with your only access to media is state-run propaganda effectively. And for those who venture out, get VPNs or go listen to Joe Rogan, other than being demonized as extremists in Canada, it's like, it's few and far in between. And so you were brought up day in and day out listening to CTV News. For those who even have the time to listen to the news, who are not struggling to make ends meet because of the devastation brought onto you by the Liberals, and all they know is what the media tells them. They're like Klaus out of Top Secret. He only knows what he reads in the New York Post. Anybody who gets that reference, $5 to you. Not a binding contract. A lot of people might get that reference. So it is propaganda cradle to grave in Canada. And we're witnessing the impact of it in real time. So much so, by the way, thank you for segueing into the section that I almost forgot to mention here. So much propaganda. Here we go. CTV News. This is what the propaganda rag CTV News is reporting. Party needs to be, quote, not so extreme, end quote. Time for, quote, soul searching, end quote. What conservatives are saying after Poilievre defeat. So you've got state-funded or state-subsidized propaganda CTV News telling you, the general population, which is going to include some conservatives who are going to read this and say, oh shit, they're telling us we were too extreme, that if we just get a little bit less extreme, we might have a chance of winning the next election. Oh shit. The irony is that Pierre went not so extreme, specifically because he allowed his ideological adversaries and state-run propaganda to cudgel him. I hope that's the right word. That sounds sexual, but cudgel means to beat him into submission. To convince him that he needed to be less extreme, more anti-Trump in order to win the election. And I say, when your adversary is dictating your strategy, you will lose every single time. When you let your adversary in chess goad you into a move, when you sit there and trash talk them and then basically convince them through whatever mental games you can to make a certain move, you're going to lose every single time. That's what Pierre did. That's why he lost. But they're telling us it's because you were still a little bit too extreme, guys. Better get a little less extreme next time so that way we just have an election between two liberal parties. Amid questions about the future of the Conservative Party and its leader, Pierre Poilievre, one progressive conservative premier is saying it's time for, quote, soul searching. You see how they do this, by the way? In order to make the broad statements of what conservatives are thinking, they find one progressive conservative premier. Do you know what progressive conservative means? It means a virgin whore. It means a flat mountain, a jumbo shrimp, an honest lawyer. Bada bing, bada boom. I made that joke on Twitter the other day. Progressive conservative are antithetical concepts. They find one progressive conservative nutbag and then draw a broad conclusion about conservatives at large in order to brainwash the remaining portion of the population into thinking the conservatives just need to get a little less extreme and then they'll win some elections. No. Mother Cabri, the conservatives needed to get more extreme. They needed to get mad as hell and be unforgiving about it. You don't like it? Tough shit. We are right. You are wrong. That's why the country is in the lamentable state that it is. But no. Trump is not wrong, is what needed to be said. Pierre would have won. I don't know, but now they got the media after the loss, just beating that loser. Hey guys, you didn't bend the knee quite enough yet. Next time, bend the knee more, and you'll win. And even if you win, great. We'll have more liberal than the liberal conservatives having won the election. Two liberal governments. Just next time, guys, don't talk about defunding us. You'll win. Trust us. Let us dictate your strategy. Shay, boss. That's it. Well, that's not it at all by any means. But let me bring up King of Biltong in the house. Not a sponsor, but an indirect sponsor with a Rumble rant. King of Biltong says, looking for some healthy snacks to add to your diet. Try our Biltong, almost 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. BiltongUSA.com. Code Viva. 10% off. Oh, lordy. All right, are we fed up with the Canadian stuff? I mean, we might overlap back and forth, but no, we're not. No, I'm saving the Canadian one for afterwards for our locals community. You know what a Truple is? You know what a Truple is? Trouple. It's a couple that has a third person in it, and a Quebec judgment has now recognized that Truples have the same family rights as married couples. We'll get to that one on our vivabarneslaw.locals.com after party. Oh. But hold on a second. What was this? Oh, yeah. Hey. I said I wasn't talking about that. Now you're going to have to come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the after party if you want to see this. And Crypta says, can someone please explain to me why weakness and pandering is favored over having steadfast, strong beliefs and standing for that, even if the polls say different? Some will say politics in Cryptus. Others will say political cowardice. And I would dare say you can't compromise on your principles and win, because even if you do and win, you've still lost. And you can't compromise on your principles because over the course of time, you'll have images, videos, and whatever of you saying A and not A at the same time. And then you'll just be a big fat liar, as most people are. By the way, have we all seen this? This had to do with, I forget why I was going to bring this one up, but I'll bring it up anyhow. It's Adam Shit for Brains McShiftface. Talking about how he was allegedly mugged. And I want to poll the audience because I've had some interesting theories as to whether or not he's telling the truth. Here, listen to this. This is talking about how liberals have destroyed Canada and Democrats have destroyed the states. That's right. I wanted to segue this in the beginning with Kamala Harris and thanking her. The only thing we want to hear out of her mouth is, I'm sorry for having destroyed America. Listen to this.
So we're going to have to change how we do business in California. We're going to have to address people's legitimate concerns about crime. I was in South San Francisco 2 years ago after I had an experience in the city that all too many people had. When my luggage was stolen out of my car, they tell you don't ever leave your luggage in the car. I never do until the one time I did. And of course, it got stolen. And what was...
Of course it got stolen. By the way, I've never left my luggage in the car, so they never had something to steal. The one time I did is how efficient these predators are. The funny thing is in Canada, we used to live in Lower Westmount. Whenever I would leave the car unlocked, it would get rummaged through. I still don't know what the heck they were looking for because sometimes I had like $12 in coins in the middle and they never took the change. But he doesn't understand here. It's not like they didn't try every other time he didn't have luggage in the car. They probably did, but there was just nothing to steal. Schiff for Brains, McShift Brains. I'm saying Schiff, not shit, so it's polite.
What was most memorable about the experience for me is I went to this Target in South San Francisco, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm getting the toiletries I'm going to need for my next 2 days in the city. I get to the cashier.
You went there by yourself, not an assistant.
I think I went there. Well, yes, I had somebody drop me off at the store, and so
I don't mean to make that an issue.
Well, he's honest in admitting it, or he's lying about it. It's an interesting thing. I didn't because I'm not suggesting the person who raised this possibility to me is a liar. Because I'm not a liar, and it wouldn't cross my mind to dare lie on broadcast national television. That thought didn't cross my mind. But then someone was like, Bill Maher's calling him out on lying. And I'm thinking like, well, now that you mention it, why the hell would Adam Schiff go to a Target at 10 o'clock at night after his shit was just stolen out of his car? At 10 o'clock at night. And then his bashful face when he seems to have gotten called out on it. He's like, well, my assistant drove me and I went in. Well, if you had an assistant to drive you, why wouldn't your assistant just go into the store? Like Adam Schiff for Brains is going to go out at 10 o'clock at night in some pee-pee-soaked heck hole that's so crime-ridden his car gets robbed the first time he leaves his luggage in it, and he's going to go to a Target at 10 o'clock at night? Dude, I went to the Walmart in Austin, Texas at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I won't go back. Nothing like finding a turd, a deuce in the urinal and homeless people in the parking lot. Like it was like apocalyptic. Is he lying or is he telling the truth?
Yourself, not an assistant.
I think I went there. Well, yes, I had somebody drop me off at the store, and so
I don't mean to make that an issue.
Honest
I waded somewhere I should not have waded into.
Okay. First of all, I had to get the clerk, which is hard to find, to unlock the shampoo or the whatever. So that's one thing. And then I get to the cashier. The cashier asked me if I want one of those Target bags with little bullets.
The shampoo or whatever. I mean, he's got enough hair to clean, but in the chat, liar, is this a lie or is this the truth? We're going to play it out.
On it. And I said, yes, that Target bag is going to be my luggage for the next 2 days. And she asked me what happened, and I told her, and she basically said, in not so many words, yeah, Democrats are assholes. And I thought, if the cashier in South San Francisco at 10 o'clock at night believes that Democrats are assholes because the shampoo is locked up and my stuff got stolen out of the trunk, we've got a major problem that we have to address. And I think
that's an awesome story.
Okay, you know what?
So we're
now seeing the adulation that he got from the crowd for that anecdote. Adam Shit for Brains. Schiff for Brains. I'm sorry. No, I meant Shit for Brains that time. I call lie. This is now a piece of Schiff, Democrat scumbag, and I truly, genuinely believe he's a psychopath in the clinical sense, realizing that the party needs to change direction, and he's coming up with a story that's 2 years old that on the pure telling of it doesn't make any sense. If a woman at a Target at 10 o'clock at night in South Central San Francisco, after I just had my stuff stolen and I'm here alone, a loathed, detested politician, and even if he were loved, it would still be a risk that I don't think his insurance would put up with. We need to change direction. And then he gets the chance from the crowd that he wanted. I call Adam Schiff a big, fat, pencil-necked liar. He's got a big, beautiful watermelon on his head. It defies gravity. I don't even know why Donald Trump is now Italian with this accent, but that's what I wanted to bring up there. The consensus is a lie, right? I think the consensus in the chat is he's a big, fat liar. South San Francisco is not.
Thousands of people say liar.
Liar? Yeah, that's the consensus. All right. Anyways, at least they're recognizing that the Democrats need to reorient and that the country is in shambles. And and you can blame this woman right here, Kamala D. Harris. First of all, I mean, I'm not a pervert. I just have a juvenile sense of humor. Kamala D. sounds like a porn name. If Kamala D. I can't even carry off with that. Did you know that she has a website? And this is what's on her website. Contact the former Hold on. Let's see. I'm not filling anything out here.
Awful.
Awful joke or true?
No. It's awful. Just everything about this. Who wants to talk to Kamala?
No, I'm looking for Mr., Mrs., Ms., Doctor. I want to see last name. Are they asking for gender? I want to see if there's gender here. There's no
You
gender.
should fill it out. And ask to see if she wants to come on the show.
Oh, dude, that would be fun. I'm going to leave it open in the backdrop.
No, you should do it live.
No, because I have to put my email address in there.
Okay.
And my home address.
Home address.
Encryptus, what's your... No, I'll fill it out, people. I'll fill out the... Okay, sorry, it's terrible. It's terrible. I apologize. I'm 40 to be. Oh my gosh, it's May. It's my birthday month. I'm going to be 46 years old, a child, and I can appreciate that. What else is going on right now? I did miss a couple of things with the Kamala story that I wanted to. Yeah, see, I wanted to bring this one up, but it's just okay. Well, this is the the palate cleansing. What's it called? The thing that you eat, sorbet. Into the next topic, which is going to be news reported exclusively by Brianna Morello, and I'm going to see if she DM'd me in my Twitter account because it's not news that I've seen anywhere else, and I do like Brianna. Ooh, I'm taping my show right now. By the way, no worries, comma. If you're available now, comma, I'm still live. Smiley face. She reported exclusively on Elvis Chan being, what was the word? Terminally retired or
terminal leave.
Terminal leave. So we'll see if she can make it on. But if not, we're going to read through her article. But listen to this. I also very much like Caroline Levitt.
Your time. Thank you, everyone. And just to add on the Kamala Harris point, I think I speak for everyone at the White House. We encourage Kamala Harris to continue going out and speaking engagements. You'll hear from the president at 11 o'clock. See you guys later.
Because I'm absolutely doing the remix with the sunglasses or the best rap. Oh, that's the wrong number. We're gonna do that. That was one of the videos that I wanted to play before I forgot, and the other one was, I think we got it. Now, people, let's go to Brianna Morello's story here. It was in, where was it? I have it here. I had it on the backdrop. Oh, come off it. Come on, Viva. Get it together here. Nick Sortor. All right, I'm just going to go get it from her feed now. Hold on 1 second. Just take me a second here. Brianna Morello reported that Elvis Chan, those two names also feel something like a paradox. Elvis Chan is placed on terminal leave. And that also sounds... Oh, you know why I couldn't see it? I had it over here. It's because the logo, when it's very small, kind of looks similar to Rebel News. And I was looking for Independent Newsroom. Brianna Morello, May 1st, 2025. Now, on her Twitter feed, she mentions that this is exclusive. I believe she does. Yeah, exclusive. FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Elvis Chan. He ain't nothing but a placed on terminal leave. Has now been placed on terminal leave, not accessed his agency devices for over a month. Sources confirm. Why I'm being very careful with this is because as we were looking into this, and Encryptus is agentguru_IO on Twitter. Encryptus is, the Viva Jamie to the Rogan type thing. We were looking, I just wanted to make sure about the story, and Encryptus running AI and all these things says I can't find any other story confirming this, sources, whatever. And I said, yeah, well, I guess that's what it means, that it's exclusive to Brianna Morello. But do you remember who Elvis Chan is? What did Elvis Chan do? Encryptus, what did Elvis, he was notorious in the Biden administration for something that it's probably going to come up in the article.
Elvis was part of the whole lead up to Trump, and part of the
censorship
regime on Facebook, on all of that.
Yeah, the EIP, the Election Integrity Partnership, and all that stuff. He was okay, fine, that's right. That needed to jog my memory. Although it's going to be in the article. FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge. I love these titles. FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge. So he's the assistant to the special agent in charge. Elvis Chan has been placed on terminal leave, which sounds very, very terminal, and has not accessed agency devices for over a month. Chan served as the main liaison between the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, the FITF, and social media platforms before the 2020 presidential election. You can go subscribe. I'm going to give you all the link because Brianna does great work. FBI declined to comment on Chan's status, citing its policy on personnel matters. Chan, who identifies as he, him, mental illness. Did I have? Well, you know what? I could have some doubts, not in terms of a new life that he might have discovered. Now I'm actually asking myself, you slap on some long hair, with that jawbone. All right, he, him, in case you were wondering, pronouns in his LinkedIn profile, still lists himself as the special agent in charge at the FBI San Francisco Bay office, where he has now served for 19 years. Chan's leave follows a turbulent period involving a lawsuit filed by the House Judiciary Committee last year. The committee accused Chan of obstructing its investigation into alleged social media censorship by failing to comply with subpoena for a deposition. The lawsuit lodged by D.C. In the District Court in Washington, D.C. claims Chan disregarded the subpoena after the Department of Justice challenged the committee's deposition protocols. Chan has violated... I am enjoying this post. I'll do it later. Chan has violated and continues to violate his legal obligations by refusing to appear before the House, the Judiciary Committee, in the House's the filing state. And there you have it. Chan also appeared as a witness in Missouri v. Biden, the case where the judge effectively concluded that there was unlawful pressure being exerted by the federal government and issued an order enjoining the government from directly or indirectly pressuring social media companies to take down certain posts. I think, if I remember the outcome of that, it was overturned. I think it was overturned on SCOTUS. I have to refresh my memory on that. Controversy surrounding Chan coincides with a 2023 ruling by the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which found that the FBI, White House, Surgeon General, CDC, CISA likely violated First Amendments by, quote, coercing or significantly encouraging social media platforms to censor content. So good riddance to bad rubbish. And if we were adding this to the list of Trump's successes, I think this still counts in the first 100 days. To the extent that the story is true and accurate, and not that Brianna would be lying, deceitful, or anything, just that it's breaking and hasn't seemingly been sourced elsewhere. If it's true, good riddance to bad rubbish. This is not a question of lawfare. This is a question of justice. And much like those corrupt judges who are harboring illegal aliens, when they locked up Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro for contempt of Congress for defying a congressional subpoena after they stripped them of all of their valid legal defenses. It's not time for turnabout. It's time for justice. It's not time for turnabout. It's about time for justice. Write it down. Do we put that on a shirt? That'd be too, what's the word? Not too eclectic, but too, what's the word for things that are specific? Esoteric. That would be too esoteric for mainstream merch. Shiloh Scott says, one of two. I'm a retired teacher, germ-infested war zone, and a CMA, certified medical associate with FELB Cert Vampire. Please allow me to recommend an air diffuser, oregano essential oil, overall disinfectant. Is this for my cold? 2 of 2, or clove, great during autumn, or a citrus work exceptionally well to stave sinus viruses. P.S. Check your humidity levels. Dehumidify when over 56. Thanks for your amazing content. Thank you. I was going to make the joke. If only I had gotten the booster, this wouldn't have been so. If only I'd got, or if I had, I'd like to thank the very mild effects that I have for this cold in 2025 for the booster I took. I didn't take a booster, guys. I was joking. But I also didn't want to give even as a joke that this is, I don't even know if this is COVID, because who in their right flipping mind would still be testing for COVID? But yeah, kids, man. So Elvis Chan, big trouble, or may he enjoy his terminal retirement in peace. There was another story coming out of the Americas that I wanted to touch on. Trump's national security advisor, Mike Walls. That's right. That was the other one. Tim Walz had a good one on Twitter. He said, and Walls has left the chat. Oh, I get the joke now. That's actually not bad, Tim. Who wrote that one for you? Wait, look, let me pull it up. Actually, let me pull that up. It'll make more sense. Tim No Balls Walls, Tampon Tim, came out and he made a funny. Tim Walz has left the chat. Let me close this down and bring it up so that we can segue this in. Oh God, I hear the kids out there. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Miss Scusi. This one I wasn't ready to bring up. Mike Walls has left the chat because I think it has something to do with Signalgate, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not going to pull up Tim No Balls Walls Tampon Tim's stand-up bit where he's talking about, I downloaded this app this morning so I could just see Tesla dropping 225 and dropping. That piece of human filth that is Tim Walz. But give him credit. Whoever wrote that for him wrote a funny. And if he wrote it for himself, when he's booted from office and he's good for nothing left on this earth, may he go into stand-up comedy for exactly 1 minute. The Epoch Times is reporting that Trump's national security advisor, Mike Walls, to be nominated as U.S. ambassador. Oh, that's right. He wasn't kicked off because of Signalgate. He's just been given another position. It came after reports suggested that Walls would be leaving the administration. President Donald Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, was nominated to be President Donald Trump's ambassador to the United Nations, the president announced Thursday. Trump wrote on Truth Social that Waltz would be nominated as his next U.S. ambassador to the United States, coming after Reuters and other media outlets citing anonymous administration officials reported that Waltz and his deputy, Alex Wong, will be leaving on a Thursday. Pleased to announce that I'll be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations, Trump said. I don't know if that's a punishment or a reward. Well, I guess he gets to spend time in New York. From his time in uniform on the battlefield, in Congress, and as my national security advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interest first. In the meantime, Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, hold on. No time. Excuse me. What did he say? Now I lost everything. I lost my whole track. Mike Waltz, Rubio will also continue. Okay. In the meantime, Trump said Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be his interim national security advisor in Waltz's stead. Rubio will also continue his strong leadership in the State Department, according to his post. I've grown to love Rubio. I'm not sure if anybody else has come to the same sentiment. Waltz came under criticism in March after he was involved in Signalgate. I take full responsibility, yada, yada, yada. In response to a quote from Ingram, he said, quote, if you have somebody else's contact, they want to bring back Signalgate. Whether or not, is this a punishment for Signalgate? They want to get someone clean in there? Are they trying to get his staffer out, who's the one that allegedly added that journalist to the Signalgate thing, whatever? Trump administration has said that no class. Oh, gonna get back. They want to just any excuse to rehash Signalgate. So whether or not it's directly or indirectly tied to Signalgate, to be determined or undetermined as of yet. Is it an upgrade? Is it a promotion? Is it a demotion? I would think. Encryptus, what do you think? Is this a promotion or a demotion?
Oh, it's absolutely a promotion.
That's what I'm thinking. Is like the whole thing with Stefanik, who wanted to be the ambassador, like when she had to step down from that position, I think it was so that they didn't lose too many seats in the Senate or something. People are saying that was like a fluffy position promotion that everybody loves. I suspect it's the same now, but I admit I'll ask Barnes on Sunday during our Viva Barnes Law Extravaganza Sunday night. Amazing show, which everyone loves. Join. I'll ask him Sunday night, but I suspect this would be more of a promotion, a soft, cushier, less pressure job with better benefits.
There's also less risk here too. So I think it's probably a double-edged sword because he's no longer part of the White House inner circle in this, which resolves the signal gate issues at the same time as getting it's failing upwards, as you might say.
Well, not bad. King of Biltong adds to his chat, we stream live at 5:15 p.m. Eastern, directly after Viva, doing some light banter whilst cooking great food. Join us for the fun on our channel, Rumble. Eat at Anton's. Or eat at Anton's. Eat at Anton's.
And for clarity, Rumble. That is on Friday. That stream is Fridays.
Yeah, well, we are Thursday today, correct?
That is Thursday, yeah.
I've exercised already. I've done my homework. I know the children are running around now. An adult has come back so they can go swim in a pool. Kids, like the brains, they're just not developed. Like, yeah, hey, can we go swim in a pool? No. Jeez Louise. Or am I turning into an absolute neurotic old man? At what age should a child be allowed to swim in a pool unattended? I'm going to say 14. And if they're a boy, 21. And not even then. Oh my gosh. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's go see what's going on in the chat and bring us to our next story. Is Mark Cuban still in Belize with Hawk Tua Girl? I don't know. Sean, is that Stun Gun 2020? By the way, everybody, make sure that you've hit the thumbs up. 10 thumbs down? What in the hell? Tell them to stay off your lawn. Shake your fist at them, says Republican Alpha. No, that is Republicant. No, Replicant Alpha. No, the kids know that our house is the cool house to hang out at because I'm more child than adult. And when I get off this stream, I will go and play rope games in the pool. I tied some crap up and I don't know what's going on, but we'll go have fun in the pool. But no, I am the cool person on the house because I take the kids biking. Do we want some updates on the Viva Fry family zoo that we have brewing in our house? I cleaned out the fish tank yesterday. It's looking much cleaner. We have a dead molly, or a molly that's on the verge of death. I think it has procreated enough. The skink eggs that my kid came back with after one of the other neighbor kids accidentally ran over a skink, and then apparently it protruded eggs. I don't think they're going to hatch, although we've put them in soil and outside to take the heat. What other? The butterflies. We released 3 butterflies today. They were beautiful. I have not been able to capture another caterpillar turning into the chrysalis. So we need to get more milkweed from Home Depot because I've got to get a beautiful video of that. And the outdoor fish tank that we procured from someone who was throwing it out, and I nearly actually killed myself trying to get it into the car, is thriving. Pudge still seems to have a urinary tract infection or potentially diabetes, and she is whining and begging for food at a rate that makes you go crazy. And Winston is still blind and still occasionally walking into walls. All right, what do we do? Let me just see if we have actually anything left that we're going to do, or we save it for Rumble. We're going to end and start winding down. I would implore everyone to come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. If you want to have a beautiful after party, support the work that we do. It's $10 a month or $100 a year to be a supporter. The members get a ton of content that is not behind any form of a paywall. It's a wonderful community. Encryptus can attest to it. He's a member of the community. And $100 for the entire year if you want to support the work that we do so that we can... Oh, no, I'll be independent. I was independent when this was not a sustainable enterprise. But if you want to support the work that we do, that's the easiest way to do it. You can get some merch at vivafry.com. The book, Louis the Lobster, soon to be followed by the sequel, There's a Frog on My Dog. And that's it. But I want to end with this because it's rules are rules, people. And I don't make them. I just follow them. Mark Carney is a Nazi. There, I said it. It's the rules, okay? Like there's a picture of him putting up his hand in a Nazi gesture, Nazi salute. He must be a Nazi. But he didn't just do it once. He did it twice in 1 week. Here's the other one. Canada hired.
Okay.
Mandate.
Okay, one of those is a Nazi salute. One of those is really, really bad white guy dancing.
Yeah, well, they're both bad white guy dancing. But do you know what this logo is here? It's a Canadian band, Down with Webster or something. I never knew what it was. I again have a very dirty sense of humor and could have come up with a number of other things for that. I thought it was sort of I was going to make the joke about Volkswagen because it kind of looks like Volkswagen. Then I was going to kind of make other jokes, but that's Mark Carney. I don't make the rules. The rules make themselves, and they must be followed. And just to end, for a little black pill before we get back into some Canadian stuff with that story of Trupling being recognized by Quebec courts, Gad Sad took to Twitter after the election and posted this, April 29th. There is nothing that the Canadian Liberal Party can do to its citizens that causes the electorate to alter its vote. What a tragic failure of the sacred responsibility that informed citizens should exhibit in a democracy so clear that Canada is no longer the place for us. And he is 1000% right, and it is the perfect way of coming right back to the beginning of the show, that Canadians are the most propagandized people on earth. They are the most abused people in the Western Hemisphere. And there's quite literally nothing you can do to them to make them stop voting for their abusers, on the one hand, because they don't even know that it's happening. On the other hand, because they're totally propagandized into thinking that Donald Trump is somehow responsible for the lamentable state of the country known as Canada. So that is the show for Rumble. If you're coming over to the after party, please do. If you're not, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Oh, yes, I think I might be on with Pisco tomorrow night. That's what I forgot. So I'm going to be on with Pisco tomorrow night, but I'm going to have our 4 o'clock live stream. And Saturday morning, I'm going to be on with a radio show, doing a radio call, but it's up in Canada. I'll share the link if I can find it, but who the hell has a radio these days anyhow? I think you can probably get it online, but that's what's coming up for the rest of the week. So we shall end it on Rumble. And we're going to say it again.
One more thing.
Go on, sir.
Before we raid, please mention the book.
The book, you say?
Yes, sir.
Can you share the... Oh, this is amazing. Brianna Morella just came in. Okay, guys, look at this.
What about timing?
Whoever left early, losers. We're going to see if Brianna can come in and talk about the Elvis Chan story very briefly. And then maybe we're going to take Brianna over to the after party as well at Locals. Let me see if I can see her. I don't know if she can see me.
I have a raid set up.
Oh, yeah,
when you're
I
ready
see
to do
you.
that.
Exclamation point. Come on in whenever you're ready. There she is.
I figured
Brianna, hold on a second. I have a bit of the sniffles, and I've been told it's rude. I can sniffle when no one's on screen, but I can't do it when someone's on screen. Brianna, this is amazing time, and I was just winding up. And everybody who left is now going to miss this, but I'm going to clip this and snip it as a standalone and maybe loop it in with your article. For those who may not know who you are, Brianna, tell them who you are.
Well, I am Brianna Morello. I am a corporate media reject. I used to work for Fox News. I worked for Newsmax and corporate local news outlets. And I rejected the jab over at Fox, and I've now become an independent journalist. So I am one of the writers over at independentnewsroom.com. That's what we just recently launched. And that's where this great new piece is up right now.
Amazing. And just to tell everyone how we actually met, because it's kind of funny, there was a video of a journalist doing the visit of the New Orleans terrorist's house shortly after the attack. And I'm like, holy cows, I wouldn't have done that. I thought it was you because you posted the video. I was like, I wouldn't do that. That's a little crazy. And then I was like, it's not her, Viva. And then I apologized to you for, it wasn't an insult, just for mistaking who you were in the video. And then we have become internet friends.
Yes.
Brianna, so we were trying to like do a little looking into that story, and it says exclusive, and I think it's got to be very exclusive because thus far it's a breaking story. It hasn't been reported elsewhere. What's the dealio? What does terminal retirement mean?
Yeah, so I was told that Elvis Chan has been placed on terminal leave, and that's like, it's a very technical term. So right off the bat, you think, oh, this is a good thing, and this means that there's finally some type of accountability, but according to my FBI sources, this possibly is not a good thing. So this means that he's preparing for retirement. So he's getting ready to walk away from his position. So this is what it could mean. He, according to his LinkedIn page, has been working for the Bureau for 19 years and 8 months. So he's now able to use up any of his accrued PTO or any type of benefits he has left over. And so my thinking behind this is he's trying to hit that 20-year mark so that he could cash out on all of his retirement benefits. And so he's not being technically forced out, although sometimes the FBI does force you into retirement. So it's quite possible, but he is making his way out the front door.
Well, I mean, so I can't ask you who your source is, but is there any good explanation as to why he hasn't been fired, like terminally fired?
Yeah, we don't know. And I've actually reached out to the FBI directly, Kash Patel's office directly, our FBI director. And unfortunately, they're unable to comment on stories like this because it's personal information. And the FBI is not allowed to disclose that. It's kind of similar to the report that came out yesterday in regards to the BLM FBI agents who took a knee. They have somehow been kind of demoted. CNN, the Washington Post, they've all reported it, but the FBI won't confirm that one either. So they're not denying it. They're not confirming it. But if you look at his LinkedIn page, he still claims to be an active member of the FBI. But again, that just means, and this is what happened to Andy McCabe, as some of you at home might know. Before he left the agency, he was also put on terminal leave so that he could take out all of his benefits and then cash them out at the end. So it's not unheard of when it comes to FBI employees doing this. It's just unfortunate because we should probably see him in either handcuffs for what he did. He interfered, obviously, with the Hunter Biden laptop story and pressured social media companies into censorship. So there should be accountability for him. Unfortunately, though, it looks like he's probably just being pressured into retirement.
Andy McCabe, what did he do again? I mean, I remember I believe it's not an exaggeration to say outright lied to Congress. What was his, I want to refresh my memory. He was involved in impeachment number 1.
Yes, he was involved in a lot of different scandals, one of that being that as well. He is not liked by, obviously, most Americans. There was a whistleblower who actually blew the whistle on him, and she was very detailed, Robin Gritz. She's also somebody who's been retaliated against since coming forward, but she reported a lot of the corruption and what was going on behind the scenes. And it's been disturbing. You know, Cabe is obviously a corporate media figure these days, but his acts are treasonous. And for some reason, again, he is not being held accountable either. He was one of the big pushers going against President Trump since day one. And he led all of those witch hunts against the president. So he's done a lot of corrupt things in this country. Unfortunately, they have not gone after him either. So when it comes to accountability, I'm afraid we're never going to really get it.
Trump-Russia investigations. I just need to refresh my memory because there's too much corruption to remember. 27 years. So McCabe opened he opened
the Russian investigation.
He was behind. He was a key player in Russiagate.
Yes, correct.
Wild. So it looks like the rats are sort of jumping ship, but they're trying to get take their belongings with them before they jump.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And it's unfortunate because, again, we're not hearing much as to what they're going to do to push back on all of this. You know, these people shouldn't be able to cash in their benefits. It's against the American people what they did to this country. And so to cash in on taxpayers' expenses, obviously, is unethical. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to get much in the way of comment from the administration, obviously, and from the FBI itself, because they're already saying that they're not giving comment on this. So it's unfortunate. But again, I mean, it's what we've seen time and time play out. You mentioned Crossfire Hurricane. Not a single person has ever been held accountable for Crossfire Hurricane. And we're watching as the people who were participants in all of it got big payouts. I mean, you remember Peter Strzok, somebody, Lisa Page. They all got thousands of dollars in settlements from taxpayers, even though they were the ones that committed treason. And so it's just outrageous that this took place in the first place. But there's rewards for those who protect and who fight on the behalf of the deep state. And for the rest of us, unfortunately, there's nothing in it for us.
Peter Strzok, it was $1.2 million that he got by way of settlement for invasion of privacy for the release of his text. I think Lisa Page got $600,000 or $800,000.
Pay gap.
Wild. That's amazing. What are you working on? What are you working on now, if I may ask?
Well, we also did another one today. I'm just dropping these exclusive nukes all over the place. I just dropped another one, though. It's available right now at independentnewsroom.com. I'm suing TSA, and I know I've spoken to you about this before. I love filing lawsuits against our federal government. So I filed a lawsuit against TSA, and I just got some documents dumped on me. And in those documents, it openly says that the Biden administration knowingly released sex offenders into our country. So I'm referring to illegal aliens. Mm-hmm. What happened here is the Biden administration decided that it was okay to release convicted sex offenders. And so there was a form that has been submitted to me and my legal team that shows that DHS, before they were releasing these people, what they were to tell these illegal aliens. So on that form, it specifically says that these illegal aliens must, within the first 14 days of being released into the United States, that they must register for a sexual deviance course. It then also goes on to say, yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy.
Let me. This is an actual document.
Yes, this was and the best part about this too is this wasn't submitted to my legal team prior. Actually, under the Biden administration, they told me that they didn't have any of these documents. It wasn't until President Trump got into the White House that suddenly these have landed in my lawyer's inbox. So in it goes on to just saying that these
I got to read this. It says, so this is the order of release and recognizance.
Yes.
That you do not associate with known gang members, criminal associates, or be associated with any such activity. That you register in a substance abuse program within 14 days and provide ICE with written proof of such registration. That you register in sexual deviancy counseling program within 14 days. That you register as a sex offender within 7. Okay. That you do not commit any crimes while on this order. This is the biggest flipping sick joke on earth. First, I mean, I don't even know if you're going to know the answer to this, but why wouldn't the administration just register them then and there instead of sending them on their own recognizance to do this within a certain period of time?
Because you trust illegal aliens. They broke into your country, yeah, but they wanted to live the American dream. So wouldn't you trust them enough to
Even
make sure
the
that they
sex
register?
offenders. Holy shit. It's a joke. It's a Babylon Bee article.
Yeah, it really is. And the worst part about it too is it was up to DHS or ICE to reach out to the victims or witness to inform them that these individuals were released into the United States. So that was a part of their checklist that they had. So DHS, ICE, we don't know if they were ever able to contact these individuals before they were released into the country, but they were supposed to warn victims and witnesses of these crimes.
Did you get any details on how many of these people there were?
Unfortunately, no. I only got the blank forms. And the only reason why I got these forms, I have to tell you why, it's because I'm suing TSA because I wanted to know, and I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, I wanted to know why or how TSA was verifying individuals based on documents that were being given to them by, originally came from DHS. So I wanted to know what documents they were being given to let them go on commercial air flights. That's how this story came about. So I just wanted to see what documents they were taking in. And this was one of the documents. So if they had a copy of this document from DHS, these individuals were allowed to board on commercial flights. That's all they needed was that to prove who they were.
Any violation of the above conditions will result in revocation of your employment authorization document. Woo! Any violation of these conditions may result in you being taken into ICE custody and you being criminally prosecuted. How about effing deported?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So do you think, was this sent to you by happy accident? Like they wanted you to have this and they found a good excuse to show this, to give it to a journalist who would put it on Super Mega Blast?
I think that because I requested it last year that the Biden administration wanted to suppress stuff like this, but we now have a new acting FOIA officer in TSA, DHS. So I think that they're probably pretty based, or at least are believers in the truth. And so they wanted to make sure that my legal team got its hands on this.
Who would I have to ask to see how many of those completed documents they got back? I'd be curious to know how many they got back.
I could put you in contact.
I'm going to ask you afterwards, Brianna. That is wild. So those are the two big stories. That's fantastic. I'm going to give everybody the link to the tweet on this one.
Thank you.
And they can go enjoy your hard work. I love it. It's easier to ask people about their hard work sometimes than to go and do this. You mentioned, like, why the hell am I not asking people I know within the administration for information that's public so that we can get this? Because they're probably very eager to let all of the Biden cats out of the bag to show what a lamentable state that administration brought the country into and the evidence that they have that they're willing to disclose to demonstrate that.
Yeah, and the best part about this, if you're at home right now and you want to know some things about what the government was up to in the last administration, you could actually submit FOIA requests yourself. Just Google, let's say it's TSA, you're looking for a document, just Google TSA Freedom of Information Act, and then you could pop up the form, and every American's allowed to go after them and to obtain this information. And they have, I believe it's 20 to 30 business days to respond back to you, or if they don't, you could sue. So I highly recommend every American doing that. And if you're looking for maybe just like, how do you fill out this form, or what do you need to say in a letter, it's simple. Just write, what specifically you're looking for. For that, what I just got back, all I did was ask TSA for any type of information about who they were letting into the country, how they were verifying their documents, and what DHS documents does TSA find to be acceptable in order to release them into the country.
There you go. Okay, we got you back. Okay, well, I know what I'm doing right now, or at least after the show. Maybe I'll do it live with our locals community. Brianna, what's your Twitter feed?
Just Brianna Morello, so BREANNA MORELLO, and it's the Independent Newsroom.
Amazing. For timing worked out absolutely perfectly. Now we're going to go raid somebody else on Rumble, and your channel also is Brianna Morella Show.
Correct. The Brianna Morella Show. We're live at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight on Rumble.
All right. Well, everybody knows where to go at 7 o'clock. Brianna, thank you very, very much for popping in. That was great.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Oh, dude, I'm going to ask for TSA. My question is going to be, I would like to know how many of those completed forms how many of them were issued, how many of them came back, and how many people did not report or check into a sexual deviancy program within 14 days of crossing into a country illegally. Oh my God. It's terrible. It's terrible. Encryptus, who do we raid?
Today, I think we're going to raid Cool Frog. The audience seems to really enjoy him.
Okay, good. Do it. Go to Cool Frog, people, and let them know from whence you came. And this was a great show. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you all tomorrow, but right now we're going to go see locals. So can I do it, Encryptus? It's time to go.
Give it about one more minute while it kind of winds up and gets it over.
One more minute. Well, I got something that's one more minute.
You didn't talk about the book. She came on just as you started to talk about.
Oh yeah, the book. Well, go get a book, people. Louis the Lobster. Can you bring up Louis the Lobster on Amazon? If you put in Louis the Lobster, it's the first thing that comes up. Well, obviously, it's not. But and then we'll end with. Well, you know, while you do that, here's enough about this. Stephen Miller. What was this one? Is this one here? Oh God! Oh God! Where was it that she started speaking with a Latina accent? Like, I love Jules so much. Like she started talking like Gloria Lopez.
Oh, it's good to be home. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you all. Thank you.
That is someone who is so deeply insecure with their own inadequacy that they cannot even hide it, and all they can do is laugh about how people. Oh my goodness. Loathsome. There's Louis the Lobster, people. Go get one on Amazon, self-published. Abigail Martin, a daughter of one of our community members, illustrated it. And my wife, #1 book put it together in all of Kazakhstan, put it together. And I don't know how she did it. It is very frustrating. The book is, you'll love it. No one has ever regretted buying a kid's book. Subscribe. You know all the other stuff. And raid away. What was his name? The frog?
Cool Frog.
Cool Frog. Go raid him and let him know who sent you. And with that, people, now we take the party on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Shall we? Done.
Let's go.
Boom. Okay, guys. Can I sniffle in front of you? I went to the ocean and then I tried to get salt. I gargled with it and gargled with the ocean water, put it up in my nose, but I didn't want to get any into my sinus passages because I've heard of people getting brain-eating viruses from stagnant water, and I know that's not ocean water, but if it's going to happen for the first time to somebody, it's going to be me. Okay, so what happened today? So this morning I woke up, took the kid to do the morning activities, kids to school. Oh, I had a burger for lunch that was good. That's what I forgot. And it was a burger for breakfast because I held off. I did my jog. And I took off the bun because I don't want to eat too much unnecessary carbs. It was like a double mashed patty with crispy, delicious bacon and a fried egg on top. And that's all I needed to be happy. And that's all I need. Now, we're gonna go to the chat in a second. I gotta read you this. I got the decision. You want to see this decision? It's in French, so you won't understand a thing. It's all redacted. VM contre le directeur de l'état civil. That is the director of civil status. Someone is suing them because they want to be recognized as Truples and have all of the same legal rights as couples. And the names are all redacted. I think I do know the lawyer indirectly in the file. This is coming out of Montreal, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the lawyer is a Laverie de Billy, which is a very well-known, reputable law firm. Look at these footnotes. Holy crab apples. You just know that the more footnotes in it, and it's a 150-page decision, that it's going to be filled with a lot of caca. Let's see here. Maître Bernard Amillot, Christophe Savoie, LCM avocat, don't know them. Marc-André Landry, Lavery de Billy. Oh, I know a lot of these people personally. If I'm not mistaken, some of them are my Norton Rose Fulbright is also one of the most well-known law firms in Canada. Marie-France Lebel. Then we got for the government here. Let me see if I know anybody else here. So these are the lawyers involved in this case. Bordenladner Gervais. That is my alma mater right there. Renaud Gravel, Maître Julien Boudreau, Renaud Gravel, Kevin Engelhardt. Him I know. Who are the other ones that I don't know? Bordenladner, so they're working for and on behalf of the government, or at least representing the government. And we're going to read a couple of the intro paragraphs so that you can see what's going on here. And I will translate. Je vais le traduire en temps réel. Introduction. Sur le plan juridique, un enfant peut-il avoir deux parents? On the legal front, can a child have... Oh, sorry. Un enfant peut-il avoir plus de deux parents? On a legal front, can a child have more than two parents? Voilà exprimé d'une manière presque simpliste. Here, expressed in an almost simplistic manner, the question is far more complex that has been submitted to the court. Context. The following judgment adjudicates two questions that have been proposed to the court in two separate files. They've been joined. They've been the object of a joint hearing. You have these ordonnances de gestion, like case management, and they put together two cases because they have the same questions of law. The plaintiffs in one are the following. The plaintiffs in the second file are the following, and then they're going to describe the family situation. The plaintiffs in one case, their parents or co-members of a family to a 3-year-old. Madame and Monsieur they're married. 3 children were born from their union. They're both members of the Canadian Armed Forces. In 2019, when Madame M was in Kuwait, she met Madame P. At this time, Madame P was also a member of the Canadian Armed Forces in a mission in Kuwait. Les deux femmes tombent amoureuses. The 2 women fall in love. Madame M se définit comme bisexuelle, is bisexual, alors que Madame P est lesbienne. So one of them is bisexual, one of them is a lesbian. Madame M est transparente avec Monsieur D. We got the D again. So Madame M is bisexual, is transparent and open with Mr. D, and informs her of the new relationship. This one, Mr. D, accepts the relation between his spouse and Madame P. At the end of their respective missions in Kuwait, M and P, the bisexual and the lesbian, come back to Canada. Eventually, they hook up with Mr. D and decide to live together comme un trio amoureux avec les enfants de Madame M et Monsieur D, with the children of the bisexual and the man. I think we've got enough of the question here. Madame M and P ainsi que Monsieur D agissent tous les trois comme les parents de X. All 3 of them are acting as parents for X and souhaitent devoir officiellement reconnu comme tel. They want to officially be recognized as parents of the child. Cependant, le certificat de naissance de l'enfant n'identifie que Madame P. However, the birth certificate of the child identifies only Madame P. Who's Madame P? I thought there was a lesbian and a bisexual. Oh, Madame P is the lesbian. Okay. Only identifies Madame P. Comme mère, l'autre parent étant non déclaré. The other parent is declared non-declared. We'll come back to that in a bit. Nous reviendrons sur cette question plus tard. Les autres enfants de la famille acceptent la présence de Madame P. So the other members of the family accept Madame P. Madame P is the lesbian in their lives and accept X as their brother. The families get bigger. Les familles élargies des parties accueillent bien leur situation familiale. Oh, their extended family also accepts of their circumstances. Do we need to get into this? Okay, we're going to go into different families. That's the fact pattern of this story, and it's absolutely amazing. And now, to save you all the time in the translation headaches, we're going to just read an article. Oh gosh, what did I just do here? We're going to read an article summarizing it. But did I just kick myself out of the stream? I didn't, but I wanted to see something at the end, is what I wanted to see. The bottom line is they've recognized that you can have truples, that they can all be granted familial rights in relation to the children. And that now it's not just because they're not the actual parents or that they have an alternative lifestyle that they should be penalized and denied rights under the charter. The article that so describes this, I very transparent with the lawyers involved in this. I think this is absolute. I won't say Sodom and Gomorrah debauchery because apparently that has a strictly homosexual connotation to it, although I thought it was just degeneracy at large without specifying anything in particular. And I happen to have zero problem with homosexuality, even gay marriage, although I appreciate the argument for why you call it civil union and not marriage, because marriage is biblically, religiously, historically the union between a man and a woman, and you cannot use that word if it's a civil union between a man and a man or a woman and a woman. In this case, a civil union between a man and a woman and a woman. It's fantastic. Multi-parent families like Truples to be granted legal rights in Quebec. And here we have a stock photo. 3 people hold a baby. A recent court ruling in Quebec has granted multi-parental families in the province the same legal rights as any other unit. A Quebec Superior Court judge ruled on Friday that limiting the legal affiliation of children to 1 or 2 parents is unconstitutional. How many can they have? How many can they have? 10? If that's situation. By the way, they say, don't worry, it only will apply to people who've had prior pre-existing relationships. How is this not polygamy? I'd like to know. Well, they're not getting married. They're just having their status as parents recognized to children who are not theirs, and there's more than 2 of them. How many parents legally can a child have? Quebec Superior Court judge ruled on Friday that limiting the legal affiliation of children to 1 or 2 parents is unconstitutional. Lawyer Marc-André Landry, who represented one of the families involved in the case, explains the ruling does not apply to step-parents or other, quote, modern families that are formed after a child is born. Rather, it applies to a situation where a family has multiple adults involved in a relationship before the child's conception. First of all, I'm curious even how that applied to this case, because it sounded like the child existed already, or maybe they had it afterwards, him or her afterwards. In other words, Landry notes, the, quote, parental project, end quote, needs to be in place prior to the child's creation. Oh. What happens if they just get accidentally pregnant because they have sex? Quote, it's not about step parents or other potential realities. It's about 3 people sitting together and saying, we should have a child together. He explains, no one should be treated differently because of their family status. Yeah, some people should, I would argue. You can't have a child with 3 people. How is that even going to work? To caveat, steelman this, the only way I could see it working is if a woman is impregnated with the sperm from 2 different men and there are twins born out of it who are genetically one man and the others. Then you can have this 3-way relationship because it would be scientifically justified. There were 3 families who were part of the case. According to Landry, the first constitutes a throuple, 3 adults, a man and 2 women, in a relationship with 4 children among them. The second involves a lesbian couple and a male donor who wished to be part of the child's life after as a father figure. That one I can agree with. The third includes a woman living in infertility who allowed her husband to have a child with a friend who asked to remain on as mothers. Quote, those families do exist no matter what people may think, end quote, said Landry, calling the move a, quote, major, end quote, change in our collective legal comprehension. Quote, you have kids whose affiliation from a legal standpoint does not match their reality, end quote. The donation one has always been an interesting one because typically in Quebec, I'm fairly certain the donation is anonymous regardless. I think there's ways to request. I'm not sure. I have to refresh my memory. The second involves a lesbian couple and a male donor who wished to be part of the child's life as a father figure. You see, this one I have to go see the details because there's only going to be one of the women who's going to be the mother. It's wild. Landry equates Friday's ruling to changing views on same-sex families during the 80s and 90s, and this is exactly why some people say the same-sex argument is exactly the slippery slope that leads to Truples. The law has evolved and homosexual families do exist, are accepted, and it's not actually an issue anymore in Canada. It's the same thing here. Building the best argument for the slippery slope you can imagine. The law needs to evolve to match the reality of all Canadian citizens and those babies who have not chosen to be born in multi-parental families. They must have the same protection, same rights as in. There are going to be the most insane, if this stands, which it's from what I understand going to go to appeal, the most insane divorce issues imaginable. Landry points out multi-parent families already have legal standing in several Canadian provinces, including Ontario and British Columbia. Oh, yeah, that's great. They also have legalized narcotics in British Columbia and the fentanyl capital of the world. So you see where these idiotic laws go. The Quebec ruling now has 12 months to amend the civil code to match the ruling. Well, they're going to appeal it. I'm going to reach out to the lawyer and see if he wants to come on to talk about it. That'll be very interesting. That's what's going on in Canada, peeps. It's seemingly a race to the bottom. They're going to go amend the code now to make sure that it works. To protect.
You know what another way that you can call two men and a woman in a relationship?
A threesome?
A devil's threesome.
Two men and a woman?
Yep.
Well, I think I know why for that one. Is there the devil's high five in that? It's first of all, I mean, it's funny actually because I just saw, I don't even know how it came up on my feed in Twitter, allegedly of a husband coming home and seeing his wife with another woman. They're all blurred and at least they looked physically fit. And the husband was angry and I was going to make a joke, but I think that's probably the response. But I could imagine all of the jokes that someone would make if you come home to find your wife with another woman. I suspect many men would say, are you guys done? Are you gals done? But what I was going to go look for here, go to our chat. Neurodivergent in the chat says, Viva, hey, David, did you get my email about Terrence Popp of Redonkulous? He would be a really great guest. I got it, but man, you gotta ping me if I forget, because I forget things often. Everything gets pushed to a back burner and then some things just fall off the back of the back burner. Let me go to the, as Barnes likes to say, the cross section, the most liked questions. Now, I'm just going to go to the left and get some chat here. Patricia says, Viva, no one should swim alone. It is not age-related, even if one swim. No, dude, it wasn't alone. There was a bunch of kids, but no, I agree with that. No, well, I do agree with that, except no one's going to tell me that I can't swim alone. I'm just not going to do anything stupid. But yeah, it's true. You have a heart attack and you're dead. Boom, gone. And yes, there's a funny video in there. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze again. Strawberries. Gone. All right, let me go up here and see what's going on. One of the people says, Viva, from the live chat yesterday, one of the people, or any heritage type bread, preferably A2A2, managed on all forage diet, aka grass-fed, better nutrients, profile, better flavor and creams. Bill Brown. That's total BS. All grass-fed lack nutrients, particularly dependent. Dude, why am I getting involved in an argument about grass-fed livestock? I do know that I have some good grass-fed beef in the fridge, which I might want to eat later. Viva, in case you missed this, Mike Benz, my analysis of Date Republicans' incredible threat on Global Leadership Coalition, the 30-year-old supergroup made up of the biggest USAID-funded NGOs. I certainly did miss that. I'm going to open that one up in the backdrop. I like Mike Benz. He looks like a nice guy. Okay, we're going to put that one there. I'm going to open that up and watch it later. It's a little bit too long to watch now. It's 43 minutes. I'm going to have to watch that later. All right, then what else do we got? Viva, platitudes are cheap work. This is from Rick. From a game theory standpoint, they are a winning strategy. I frequently have posted about how California is a captured state. We are heavy with Ukrainian flags and BLM posters. Now the Canadians know exactly what I'm talking about. To get captured, all you need are platitudes. It's trivial to implement. Same thing that went on in California with everything from becoming a rich and famous Hollywood or Silicon Valley. So Canada ends up glorifying the Nazis in Parliament system and gets cheered. Then it gets memory holed by Google. Too easy. Once you are captured, there seems to be no out. California is 60 years of this bullshit. You see things like no enforcement of drug laws, et cetera, et cetera. To be honest, I really hope Canada solves this. They have everyone that needs healthcare. Okay, I got that. Yeah, and by the way, just like on the Nazi subject and the Ukraine and, captured subjects, I think I brought this up here. I didn't bring it up, but I had it in the backdrop. He's 3 days in office. He's already promising to stand by more stuff to Zelensky. Today, the Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. President Zelensky congratulated Prime Minister Carney on his election. The Prime Minister underscored Canada's commitment to supporting Ukraine and achieving lasting peace and security. The two leaders agreed that a durable peace can only be achieved with Ukraine at the table. I mean, I agree with that part, but the leaders agreed to remain in close contact and meet at the G7 summit in Kananaskis, Alberta in June. Well, Slava Ukraine is what Carney has to say. Say the line, Carney. Say the line. One of the people says, Viva, how to avoid real ID? Don't get one. Well, I'm not, I'm getting real ID. I'm going to do what the government tells me. Mofolo says, so what are the odds that Alberta secedes? If they do, what percentage? Let me see what the markets are saying. The odds have to be incredibly low, because even if it were likely, the amount of time it would take to happen is, years. And anybody who's going to bet on that is going to expect like a good return on their investment. 60 special in the house with a thumbs up. We got Jerry, who says, I just saw some gal commenting on the Canadian elections. She said PP lost his riding because of a huge influx of new people, mostly Liberal, and worse, thousands and thousands of immigrants who will always vote Liberal. So there is your cheat. You are correct in smelling a rat, but the rat is... I'm not reading that. Jerry, the other thing... here, I'll show the other thing that I wasn't fully aware of is that there was not gerrymandering with Pierre's district, but that they did expand or they changed the districting for Carleton. And the argument is that it included more Liberals and more Liberal ridings or more Liberal jurisdictions. The flip side argument is that it included more rural areas, which might be more conservative, but might have fewer people. And then the flip side argument is that Pierre didn't object to the redistricting when it occurred in 2023, so it's not chicanery. It's fucking chicanery. And yeah, that's it. Bill Brown says, Viva, were not fooled, my friend. They're proud to be this ignorant of reality. That's why they're going to have to suffer for their actions greatly before they ever find honor to admit they were wrong. Woke Canadian idiots to the hilt, Carney another puppet, and a Trudeau clone, says a special SOV. All right, now, tipped question because I missed one. Viva, please get James Lindsay on to explain why he's dissing Barnes. I could do that. He would. I have to get... Okay, Mighty Pit, flip me the links. I'm going to go reach out to James Lindsay right now. Oh, I didn't want to lose that screen. I lost it. Damn it. That's why. Now I don't even remember what it was. Oh, it was a joke about Lex Friedman podcast. James Lindsay. I know that we're connected here. James Lindsay, anti-communist. Was he not on already? We had James Lindsay on.
Yeah, there's some recent stuff. He's talking shit about Barnes in the recent post to reply on Barnes.
Yeah. Well, that I know it had to do with Barnes saying that James, this is what happens when you call everyone you disagree with woke right, and want to come back on and discuss the Barnes beef.
He's basically using Mason as a slur.
Mason?
Yeah, he's like saying that he's a Mason.
Neither of us are, sensitive. LOL. All right, let's see if he comes back. What is a Mason? Like he's a Freemason?
Like a Freemason.
What is I never understood what Freemasons are. It's from The Simpsons. Freemasons run the country.
So it's a social club, but it's a social club that has been around since basically the dawn of time, without hyperbole. And they have had a hand in growing or building every major nation on Earth since the history of time. And some of the most powerful people in the world are Masons.
Dude, I did. So we have one in Quebec. The Grand Loge. I remember now that there's a building
there's a lodge everywhere.
Yeah, so
every major city.
This one I think is on if I'm not mistaken, it's on Sherbrooke Street. Info: how to join? I do not want to join the Freemasons. Inscription form, Encyclopédie Française, how to join. Where is it? I'm sure it's on Sherbrooke. The Grand Loge. Yeah, there's a building that has that thing in front of it. Okay, so I kind of know what it does. Well, I know. Is Barnes a Freemason?
I believe he might have mentioned in something that he was a Mason. But there's a whole bunch of these weird conspiracy theories, but I can tell you from someone who knows Masons and has known Masons all of his life that right now, Dashman, who happens to be a Catholic priest in our chat, is saying that high-level Masons are Satanists, which is definitively not true because I happen to know some high-level Masons and devout Orthodox or devout Catholics. So there's some weird things that they say.
So look, I'm sure some of them might be, but I don't know. Let me see
Sure.
here. I'm looking to see, is Robert Barnes a free Mason? Let me see here. Is Robert Barnes a Freemason? I'm asking Grok. It appears you're asking whether Robert Barnes is a Mason. Possible Robert Barnes, 1495 to 1540. No, not that one. Robert Barnes, attorney. 1974. Well-known American lawyer, defended Rittenhouse. Okay, yes. So, other Robert. Freemason connection. There is no verifiable information provided in web results or general knowledge indicating Robert Barnes is a Freemason. Okay. Let's see. We'll see if we can get. We'll see if we can get James on.
It'd be great to have do an actual official sidebar and maybe a debate.
Okay.
Because that would be fun.
Let me see. Not that I'm saying I'm texting someone right now. That can be interesting. Let's see. Okay. All right. We'll see. Let's see what's going on here. Hold on. Okay. Well, that's I haven't been following that beef. I always just take for granted people don't take it too seriously. But who knows? That would be fun, says Neurodivergent. Viva Fry, Encryptus. What is this? These are the tweets. So let me actually open these up so that I have them for later. Freemasons run the country. Anyone remember that episode of The Simpsons? It was when Burns was afraid of getting germs and he was wearing the... I just lost the thing here. And he looked at Smithers' face and he sees all the germs and the germs say Freemasons run the country. All right, let's go back to the chat, see what's going on here. My grandfather was a Mason. They had some really good BBQs. There was a guy who went in who video recorded. I don't know if it was the Freemasons, but it was some type of society like that. I want to think I had him on or I didn't. And then he said he felt like he was in danger after he exposed the society. I don't remember. Damn, but this. I would think a cow cannot survive without salt licks. Now, what's going on with the discussion with the cows, people? Okay, skipping the cow. Lindsay is okay. Wait, hold on a second. Lindsay is in Queen Candace territory for me. In what respect? Hold on. Lindsay is calling Candace woke right, correct? And others, Cernovich and others?
Correct.
Okay. And Barnes, even though he doesn't like Candace Owens, doesn't think she's a psychopath or woke, but rather just a grifter. These are not my thoughts. These are Barnes's. That's correct assessment of Barnes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. That could be fun. What else do we got over here? Okay, I'm going to go down. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom, see what's going on here. So when Barnes does the most liked question, he does it on the left-hand side, correct? He does the tips. He does the most...
No.
Oh no, because he does preloaded questions.
Separate posts, yeah.
Okay, maybe I should start doing that. Okay, I think I still have ceremony. So what I'm going to do tonight, by the way, I didn't see. You all saw the picture of the killdeer bird. I'm going to go back and see if that killdeer bird is still there. I cannot see how that bird can survive. It's on a bike path. It's not far enough away, but it's part of our bike circle. So I'm going to go see if it's still there. Maybe take the kids. Maybe see if they're still playing in the pool. Encryptus, did I not get to anything? We did everything today.
No, you covered everything. The last story on the list was the Truple.
I got a lot of tabs open in the back, but I think it's just because I didn't close them down. Oh, there was some discussion about the Pierre Poilievre ballot that I think people are sort of fed up with Canadian stuff. Or not fed up, but not interested anymore. That is it, locals. It has been a pleasure, as usual. Don't freak out the bird again, says Mighty Pay. I cannot promise anything. I think I want to see the bird pretend to be injured. And then Cultivated Mind says, LOL, Viva. Yes, Viva. The farmers are arguing again. It's a cultural thing. Okay. Oh, the eggs may be hatched, says Zach the cat. If they... I'm taking my good camera. Who needs to take the good camera? I'll take my iPhone. Aren't there good Masons and bad Masons, says Boopsy. Have a good day, everyone, says Crash Bandit. Thanks, David and Encryptus, says Neurodivergent. Barnes is too much of a populist to be a Mason. Yeah, I get the feeling Barnes is similar to me, like doesn't want to be members of any sort of exclusive club or even club to begin with.
That would make sense. I had read somewhere in one of those threads that Barnes had said that.
That he doesn't like to be
members. I don't know
members
firsthand.
Yeah, like I hate being a member of a club. I don't want favor any more than I want punishment for any reasons of affiliation. I just want to be independent. Join a golf club. We have to join a squash club to play squash. I hated that. Code of conduct. My ass. I want to do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want. All right, people. I was going to be tempted to end this in 5 seconds, just to end it at 2 hours on the nose, but we're going to go past that. Peace and God bless us, Neurodivergent. Thank you very much. Same to you. So we're going to end it, locals. Thank you very much for being here. Tomorrow night, Peace Go should be fun. Tomorrow afternoon, live stream will be great. I'm going to snip this, clip this, because there were great segments in here. Post it to CommuTube. I got to remember to keep the audio coming to Podbean format, and I'll do that one right now. Go and enjoy the day. Godspeed. God bless. Thank you all for being here. And locals, see you tomorrow.